Welcome back, everybody, to another deep dive.
Always exciting.
Today, we're going to be looking at Bill Quell.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know about you, but I'd never heard of him before this.
Nope. First time for me, too.
But we have two sources that we're going to be looking at to try to figure out who he is and what he's all about.
Okay. Sounds like fun. What kind of sources?
Yeah, one is a list of skills that he provided, and the other is like a more professional profile.
Okay, interesting. So kind of like pieces of a puzzle.
Yeah, exactly.
We get to put them together and see what the big picture looks like.
And some of these pieces are, let me tell you, they're pretty intriguing.
Oh, I like a good mystery. Lay it on me.
Okay, well, have you ever heard of a Wow Yow advocate?
Wow, advocate. That's a new one.
I know. And it's on his resume, so we're going to dive in and see what we can figure out about that.
Color me intrigued. Let's do it.
Okay, so let's start with his expertise. You know, we've got the classics there, website development, blog posts, the kind of bread and butter of online presence.
Right. The foundation. Got to have that.
Right, and then things get a little more interesting. He also lists AI-generated content, which you know is very future of marketing, as they say.
Yeah, definitely. And he's got something called geofencing listed, too.
Geofence, yeah, I'll be honest, I had to look that one up. Sounds kind of sci-fi, doesn't it?
It does. Like something out of a movie. But actually, geofencing is becoming pretty common. You might not even realize it's happening sometimes.
Really?
Yeah, like, have you ever gotten a notification for a discount at a coffee shop as you're walking by?
Oh, yeah, all the time.
That's geofencing.
Oh, so it's not like beaming people up into spaceships or anything?
Not yet, at least.
Yeah.
But it's still pretty high tech.
Okay, so maybe not spaceships. But still interesting. And this is something I noticed that was kind of cool about how Bill lists his expertise. He doesn't just list these skills randomly. He actually categorizes them as owned, earned, or paid. Why do you think that distinction is important?
That's a really good observation. I think it shows a deep understanding of how the different marketing channels actually work together.
Okay, explain that a little bit more.
Sure. Think about a campaign for like a new fitness app.
Right.
Okay. So they're owned media. That would be things like their website, their social media pages, places where they have total control over the message.
They own it.
Exactly. Now, earned media, that's more like if they get featured in a magazine or go viral on TikTok, it's publicity that they don't actually directly pay for.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And then, of course, there's paid media, which is like traditional advertising. So your Google ads, your sponsored posts, things like that. So the fact that Bill has expertise in all three owned, earned, and paid suggests that he knows how to craft a really well-rounded strategy.
So he's not just throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks.
No, not at all. This is a man with a plan. He understands that all these different elements have to work together.
So more like a symphony. All right, so I'm looking at some of these other skills, and some of them are honestly pretty niche. He's got things like digital publishing, interactive PDF creation. Like, what is he doing with that?
Yeah, that's where we get to speculate a little bit, right?
Yeah.
And it's fun to imagine the possibilities. You know, he's worked with luxury retail clients. So imagine if he was creating like an interactive lookbook where you can actually zoom in on product details, watch videos of models, even like virtually try on accessories.
Okay, that's cool.
You're taking that static page and making it a whole experience.
Yeah, it's not just having a website. It's about making that website do things that traditional marketing couldn't.
Exactly.
And speaking of different industries, can we just talk about the range of industries that Bill's worked with for a second?
Yeah, it's pretty impressive.
Yeah, we're talking luxury, retail, health tech, consumer packaged goods. He's done it all.
It really jumps out at you, doesn't it? To me, that suggests that he's able to adapt his strategies to entirely different audiences and markets.
Right, because you think about the difference between like marketing a high-end watch versus marketing a tube of toothpaste.
Totally different ballgame.
Yeah.
The message, the tone, even the platforms you use, everything changes.
So that's saying something about Bill. He can do all of that.
Absolutely. He's not a one-trick pony. He's versatile.
Right. He's not a one-trick pony. Now, before we move on, I want to mention that second source we have, his professional profile. And this is where we learn that he's the founder of not one, but two companies.
Okay, wait. Two.
clickawaymarketing.com and clickawaycreative.com.
Wow. Okay, so he's an entrepreneur.
Yeah. What do you think that tells us about him?
Well, he's clearly not content with just working for somebody else.
Yeah.
He wants to build something of his own.
Yeah.
And the fact that he has both a marketing company and a creative company suggests to me that he understands both sides of the coin, both strategy and execution.
Yeah, he needs both to build a successful business, right?
Right? You need the big picture plan, but then you also need to be able to actually make it happen.
Hmm.
And he seems to get that.
So we've got a guy who's got the skills, the drive, and the vision, clearly.
He's got it going on.
Right, but he doesn't stop there. He's also listed as an advisor at NextCubed and HBCUFI. Do you know anything about those organizations?
I do. NextCubed is a venture capital firm.
Okay.
They invest in early-stage startups. And HBCUFI is all about supporting entrepreneurship, specifically within historically black colleges and universities.
So not only is he running his own businesses, he's also helping other entrepreneurs get their ideas off the ground.
That's right. Mentorship, guidance sounds like he's giving back in a big way.
That's pretty awesome.
It is.
And there's one more detail that I think is worth pointing out about Bill, and that's his experience. He spent over 13 years at Cox Communications.
Cox Communications, wow. That's a major player.
It is. A major player in the media and communications industry. What do you think is the significance of that, especially in a field that's as fast-paced as digital marketing?
I mean, to stay at a company like that for over a decade, that tells you something. Think about how much the industry has changed just in the past few years.
Oh, I know.
It's mind-boggling. So to not just survive, but to thrive in that kind of environment for that long.
He must have been constantly learning and adapting.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Oh.
You don't last that long in this field unless you're willing to constantly evolve.
So it's not just about what he knows, it's about his ability to keep learning and keep growing.
Exactly. He's not afraid of change. He embraces it, which in this industry is essential.
So it makes you wonder, what were some of the biggest challenges he faced during that time?
Oh, I'm sure there were many.
What insights did he gain from working at such a large organization?
Right.
I mean, think about the evolution of digital marketing over those 13 years.
That's crazy.
The rise of social media, the explosion of mobile, everybody going to video.
Right.
It's a completely different world.
He must have witnessed a complete and total transformation in the way that businesses connect with their customers.
And to have thrived in that environment for over a decade, that means he had to be a quick learner, a problem solver,
For sure.
a master of adaptation.
All essential skills for a successful marketer no matter what, but especially in a field that's constantly changing.
Yeah. All right, so we've covered a lot of ground here, but we've only just scratched the surface. Bill Quell, he's clearly not just a digital marketer. He's kind of a pioneer.
The trailblazer.
He's witnessed the evolution of this industry, and, I think he's probably helped to shape it.
I would agree with that. I'm really curious to dig deeper into these skills, these tools that he's using. I want to see what makes him tick.
And I think we'll do that in part 2.
Sounds good to me.
So we'll be back.
Hmm.
But before we go, what stands out to you so far about Bill's career?
Oh, man. Where do you even begin? I think his versatility really impresses me. The fact that he can move from industry to industry, adapt his skills, and clearly find success, that's not easy to do.
Yeah, and the entrepreneurial spirit is inspiring, too. Founding 2 companies, that's no small feat.
Not at all.
And then on top of that, advising these really cool organizations, it's clear that Bill's not just about personal success. He wants to help others succeed as well. And to me, that's really admirable.
I agree. It shows a certain depth of character, a generosity of spirit, He wants to share what he's learned, help others achieve their dreams. That's pretty awesome.
Absolutely. And speaking of awesome, we'll be back with part 2 of our deep dive into the world of Bill Quell, so stay tuned.
We'll be right here. It's funny you should mention Bill's time at Cox and how that might have influenced his entrepreneurial journey.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you'd think that coming from a big corporation, he might actually struggle with some of the challenges of running a startup.
You would think.
Right? It's like a totally different world.
Totally. I mean, you've got big corporations with their processes, their hierarchies, their bureaucracy.
Exactly.
And then you've got startups, which are all about being fast-paced, agile, scrappy.
Right. You got to be able to wear multiple hats, make decisions quickly, pivot on a dime.
But maybe his experience at Cox actually gave him some advantages.
You know what? I think you're right.
I mean, he was there for over a decade.
Right. He must have learned a thing or two about building systems,
Managing teams.
even navigating corporate bureaucracy.
Which, let's be honest, can be surprisingly useful when you're running your own business.
Oh, absolutely. Especially when you're dealing with things like fundraising or partnerships.
So maybe instead of holding him back, his corporate background actually gave him a unique set of tools.
I think so. It's like a secret weapon almost. He's got the agility and the hustle of a startup founder, but he also understands how big companies work from the inside out.
I like that. A secret weapon. And speaking of unique tools, let's go back to that list of skills for a minute. Remember how he categorized them as owned, earned, and paid?
Yep, I remember.
I want to zero in on that paid expertise for a sec because I think it reveals a lot about his approach to digital marketing in general.
Okay, I'm listening.
So he's got Google Ads, LinkedIn Ads, even something called Apollo.io outreach. What do you think is the common thread there?
Targeted advertising.
Ah,
He's not just blasting his message out to everyone and their grandma.
right.
He's using data and he's using technology to make sure his message reaches the right people at the right time.
So it's more like he's a digital sharpshooter than someone who's just like spraying and praying.
Exactly. A sharpshooter. I like that.
And you know what else is interesting? He lists specific platforms.
He does.
It's not just that he understands the concept of Google Ads or LinkedIn Ads. It's that he actually knows how to use these platforms.
Hands-on experience.
Hands-on experience. And remember that whole Wow Meow thing?
Oh, yeah. Wow, yeah. We can't forget Wow, yeah.
It's not just another ad platform, is it?
No, it's not.
Yeah.
Wow, yeah uses AI to actually personalize video content.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the idea is that you're making those videos more engaging, more relevant to the people who are watching them.
Okay, that's pretty cool. So he's not just buying ad space, he's actually using technology to make those ads smarter, more effective.
Exactly. He's at the cutting edge.
Cutting edge. I like that. And by listing Wow Yow as an area of expertise, it seems like he's signaling to the world that he's keeping up with the latest developments, which is crucial in a field that changes as quickly as digital marketing does, right?
Oh, absolutely. It's like he's saying, I'm not just using the tools of today, I'm already thinking about the tools of tomorrow.
That's a good way to put it. The tools of tomorrow. And I bet that's what makes him such a valuable asset to the companies he works with. He's not just trying to keep up, he's always trying to stay ahead of the game.
Always one step ahead.
All right, so we've got this picture emerging of someone who embraces new technology, someone who is clearly driven. But let's shift gears for a minute and talk about his role as founder of clickawaymarketing.com.
Okay.
What do you think we can learn about his entrepreneurial journey from the information we have?
Well, I think even the name itself is interesting. Click away. It's like a call to action.
Click away from what?
From the old way of doing things. Click away from traditional marketing and embrace the digital world.
Yeah, that makes sense. And if you look at the services that they offer on their website, it's basically a one-stop shop for everything a business needs to succeed online.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, they do website development, SEO, PPC, social media management, content creation, like you name it, they've got it.
So he's really got the whole package.
Yeah, it goes back to that idea of a holistic approach that we were talking about earlier. He's not just focusing on one little piece of the puzzle. He's looking at the big picture.
Makes sense. You need all the pieces to create a successful online presence.
Right. So I think it's safe to say that Bill's not just a marketer, he's a business strategist.
With a digital mindset.
Exactly. He understands that in today's world, it's not enough to just have a great product or a great service. You have to know how to reach your customers. And you have to do it online.
Couldn't agree more.
And I think his experience with so many different industries gives him a broader perspective on what works and what doesn't.
Yeah, he's not just applying the same cookie-cutter approach to every client.
Right. He's tailoring his strategies to their specific needs, which is pretty impressive.
It is.
Now, I want to talk about his work with the Global Ultrasound Institute.
Okay.
This is interesting to me because it's such a specific niche.
Medical technology, huh?
Yeah. He's using digital marketing to promote this cutting-edge ultrasound technology. What do you think we can learn from that example?
I think it shows he's not afraid to go deep. Deep into a particular field. I mean, the target audience for something like that is very different from consumers who are, say, browsing for shoes online.
Oh, totally.
Right.
Totally different.
So he has to understand the intricacies of the medical industry,
The regulations,
the language.
needs of healthcare professionals.
Exactly. It's a whole different ballgame.
It is. And it suggests to me that he's not afraid to learn new things, to tackle complex challenges head on.
He's not intimidated by a challenge.
He's not intimidated at all. And you know what? I think we're seeing a pattern here. Bill's not afraid to dive into new territory.
Whether it's a new technology
Or a new industry.
or even starting his own businesses,
It's like he's constantly pushing himself outside of his comfort zone.
which is where the real growth happens, right?
Right. So as we wrap up part 2 of our deep dive, I think it's safe to say that Bill Quell, he's not just a digital marketer, he's a digital trailblazer.
Love that.
A trailblazer.
Someone who's constantly pushing the boundaries, exploring new possibilities.
I think it'll be fascinating to see how all of this comes together. All his skills, his experiences, all the different hats he's worn. How does that shape his unique approach to digital marketing?
Right. What are the lessons he's learned along the way?
Yeah. What are his guiding principles? Ooh, that's a good one. And before we move on to part 3 to answer those questions, I'd like to ask you, the listener, to think about what you've learned about Bill so far.
What stands out to you?
What surprises you? Because in part 3, we're going to try to connect the dots. We're going to try to reveal the big picture of Bill Quell's journey as a digital marketing maestro. So stay tuned.
Can't wait.
All right, welcome back to the final part of our deep dive. Bill Quell, man, we've uncovered a lot about this guy.
We have.
His skills, entrepreneurial spirit, always pushing boundaries. But now I think it's time to answer the big question. What makes Bill Quell such a standout figure in this world of digital marketing?
Yeah, you know what? I don't think it's just one thing.
It's not.
No, it's the combination. It's
Yep.
like he's taken all these different pieces,
Yeah.
corporate experience, his own ventures, mastery of all these marketing techniques, and he's woven them together into something really unique.
So he's not just checking boxes on a skill set list, he's integrating all these different aspects into his own cohesive approach.
Exactly. And, one thing that keeps popping up for me when I look at his expertise is this theme of measurement and optimization.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, he mentions tools like Google Analytics, Google Search Console, and these aren't just buzzwords to him.
Right.
This is a guy who's deeply data-driven.
So he's not just going with his gut, he's actually looking at the numbers, analyzing the results, and constantly tweaking his approach.
All the time.
Yeah.
And you need that in digital marketing.
You do.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you have so much data at your fingertips.
That's true.
You can track every click, every conversion,
Yeah.
every single interaction.
Right.
But that data is only useful if you know how to actually interpret it.
Right, and then use it to make informed decisions.
Exactly. It's like having this high-powered engine,
Yeah.
but you need a skilled driver to actually harness all that power.
That's a good analogy, and I think that's where Bill's experience really comes in.
Right. He's not just a data analyst.
Right, he's a marketer.
He understands how to use data to inform those creative decisions and ultimately drive real results.
Yeah. Okay, so we've got the data side, but let's not forget the creative side, too.
Of course not.
He's got owned expertise, things like website development, blog posts, social media profiles, all those building blocks of online presence.
Right. And it's not just about having them, it's about doing them well.
Yeah.
I mean, think about how many websites you go to that are just clunky and boring.
Too many.
Right. Bill clearly gets it. He understands user experience. He's crafting content that's not just informative, but engaging and visually appealing too.
Yeah, it's like the difference between a storefront that you just walk right past and one that actually draws you in.
100%. And once you have that solid foundation, you can start to leverage earned media to amplify your message even further.
Earned media, so we're talking things like press releases and podcasts.
Podcasts, webinars, it's all about building relationships, generating buzz organically.
So it's not just about shouting your message from the rooftops, it's about creating content that people actually want to consume and share.
That's the key. And that's where his understanding of all those different industries really comes in handy. Because he's not just creating generic content.
Right.
He's tailoring it, speaking to the needs and interests of that specific target market.
All right, now let's talk paid expertise. Google ads, LinkedIn ads, geofencing. I know we touched on this before, but I think it's worth emphasizing how he's using these tools strategically. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think the important thing to remember is that he's not just throwing money at ads.
Oh, okay.
He's using paid media to complement his owned and earned media. So it's like this three-pronged attack. You're creating great content, getting people talking about it, and then using those ads to really hone in on the people who are most likely to be interested.
So it's really about using all those channels in concert, not just relying on one.
It's about the symphony.
The symphony.
All the instruments working together. And let's not forget, wow, yow. That tells me he's not afraid to experiment, to push the boundaries.
He's not just keeping up with the trends, he's staying ahead of them. All right, so as we wrap this up, I think we can confidently say that Bill Quell, he's a force to be reckoned with in the world of digital marketing.
Absolutely.
He's got the skills, the experience, the vision, and the drive to succeed in this ever-changing landscape.
What's so remarkable to me is that he doesn't seem content with just being good.
Right.
He's constantly striving to be great, push those boundaries, to innovate and inspire.
And that, dear listener, is the key takeaway from our deep dive. It's not just about what Bill does, it's about how he does it. It's that relentless pursuit of excellence, that willingness to embrace new ideas, and that passion for making a real impact.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
So as you go about your own work, your own business, remember the lessons that we've uncovered. Stay curious, stay adaptable, and never stop pushing yourself to be the best that you can be.
And until next time, keep on diving.
We'll see you next time.